this week, it seems like we've gotten a lot of questions on why people aren't doing what they want to do, why they don't get done what they want to get done. So I thought I would do a life hack on motivation. So it's February, and I'm not surprised that these questions start coming in, or these issues that people are talking about, because it's right about this time that people start falling off their programs. And that's what the statistics show, that by February, about 80% of people drop their New Year's resolutions, which is why we want you to stop thinking of it as a New Year's resolution, because a New Year's resolution is something you start over every year. We want you to finally be able to do something that you've been wanting to do and stick with it. So why don't you stick with what you want to do? You say you're going to lose weight, but you don't do anything to lose weight. You don't get up off the couch. Excuse me. You'd rather go get a cheeseburger, and you give in to that temptation. You know, all these different things that you know are going to sabotage your success. So why don't people do the things they say they want to do when they say they're motivated, or they say they must change something? They can say that. We always say you have to know your why or you'll never do your what. Well, that's true, but let's dig a little deeper, because there's actually 4 circles. We look at everything in Amen Clinics through 4 circles: biological, psychological, social, and spiritual. And if any of those areas are out of balance, or there's something wrong, it's like 4 wheels on a car and one of the wheels comes off, or the tire goes flat. The car's not going to get you where you want to get to, right? So you got to look at it through that lens. And most people look at motivation only through the psychological lens. So I need to tell myself to get up and go do something, or is it depression? Which very well could be. So let's look at all of them. So if it's biological, psychological, social, or spiritual, you need to assess those areas, figure out what's wrong, and then you got to fix them. So if it's biology, believe it or not, it could be something like you need to get your important numbers checked. It could be something like vitamin D, vitamin B. It could be testosterone, thyroid. I'll tell you right now, I've been down the highway to hell, thyroid hell. When your thyroid is off, after I had my thyroid removed and no one really explained to me, I went through a severe depression. So if you don't understand what's going on inside your body, how are you going to be motivated to get up and do something big that you want to accomplish? What about sleep? Or something as simple as being dehydrated. If you're not sleeping and you're not hydrating, chances are you're going to be really tired, and your body is going to win. It's going to tell you that you need to sleep. So this is why we want you to assess these things. A couple of other biological things: the foods you eat. Okay? Because if you are eating really lousy food, you're increasing inflammation. Also, I touched briefly on vitamin D. They call it the sunshine vitamin. It's really important when it comes to not feeling lethargic and depressed. The sunshine vitamin, because people feel better when they're out in the sun doing something. When that vitamin D goes up, they all of a sudden get energy, right? So if your vitamin D is low, it's a simple fix. Go take some vitamin D. Also, your omega-3 fatty acids. That goes back to, it's connected to the food you eat. Because if your omega-3 fatty acids are low, chances are your omega-6 fatty acids are high. That means you're inflamed. Those need to be in balance. You need both of them, but most people in our country with the standard American diet have their omega-6 fatty acids way out of control. Omega-3s are really low. That increases inflammation and makes you incredibly tired. It also increases chronic pain. Nothing will kill motivation like pain. So, I mean, anyone who's been in pain knows that. All you want to do is feel better, and nothing else matters. Your hormones, another one to get checked: testosterone, progesterone for women. And not moving. So if you're not getting up and going for a walk or doing something, you're going to be stagnant. And anytime you're stagnant, our bodies were made to move. But you got to know why you're not wanting to move. Because a lot of people just hate exercise. They don't want to move, and they don't really know why. So these might be a few reasons why. Then let's go to the psychological. The psychological is interesting because that's what we always think of when we think of motivation. Someone's just lazy. They're just lazy. They just need to move more, right? Just do it. Well, let me know how that's been working for you, right? That doesn't, it's like we can say that all we want. It doesn't really work like that. First of all, connected to biological and psychological is depression, because your depression could have a biological reason. You could be having a biological reason for depression, something like infections or the numbers we just mentioned. Also head injuries. So obviously, Amen Clinics, we look a lot at head injuries. If you damage the frontal lobes, you're not going to make good decisions. You need good decision making if you're going to stay motivated, because your body, all of us, including me, my husband, we all have these thoughts. You know, I think I'd rather just sit around today and do nothing, or I'd rather go get a big giant slice of chocolate cake. But you have to have good decision making to be able to say, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. Why? Because then what? That's another thing you need to think about, because if you are thinking well, if your frontal lobes are working well, you're able to say, then what? What happens if I do that thing? And you're able to resist it. So you've got to make sure that your brain function is good. You can go to amenclinics.com and take our brain health assessment. It's a tool we use, and it tells people like, you know, what's going on with you, with your brain. So if your dopamine is low, if you have ADD, and you have low dopamine, dopamine is your neurotransmitter in your body that tells you, let's do it, let's get up, let's go. I'm motivated, let's go today. Well, if that's low, you're gonna struggle. You're also gonna struggle with decision making, because guess what's low with ADD? Dopamine, usually. There's different types of dopamine. But a lot of people with the classic ADD, that's what's low. The frontal lobes are sleepy. They're not getting adequate blood flow, and dopamine tends to be low. So decision-making, motivation, and impulse control are affected. So these are things that psychologically can really help you, but as you can see, they're connected to your biology. Let me make sure I'm not missing something here. Oh, something, okay, this is really interesting. Is it motivation or is it lack of knowledge? So if you don't feel competent, okay, there's this term self-efficacy, right? It means that you feel good about yourself being able to do something. You see yourself and you know you can do this thing, whether it's work or parenting or whatever it is, or losing weight or whatever it is. Knowledge is going to lead to excellence, and excellence is always going to help you be more motivated. When you feel excellent at something, when you feel like you really have all the information you need, you are really an informed person, don't you tend to feel better about doing it? You feel pretty good about it. People even will seek you out, right? Because you are this person of excellence. So if you are not motivated, one question to ask yourself under this psychological circle is it lack of motivation, or do I not know the answer? Do I just feel confused and not know the answer? A lot of people in jobs are put into the wrong jobs, or they end up in a job by accident, and you see them and they look like apathetic and they just really shouldn't be there. And you see them, I mean, it's just like weird. And so you see them there and you're like, why is this person doing this job? They really obviously hate this job. They're not motivated. They're sort of a downer, right? I don't even want to be around this person. But sometimes it's because they don't know what they're doing. So if it's because you don't know what you're doing, seek someone out that can help you, that's going to give you those answers. And that's going to be really, really helpful. Also under the psychological circle, and I really like this, Mel Robbins, someone who works for me, who I really, really care about and who is amazing. Natalie shared this with me. Mel Robbins, she's got a YouTube channel, and she has this 5-second rule, and she talks about the brain's impulse. So you'll get an impulse to do something, you're motivated to do it, and if you don't act on it within 5 seconds, it might go away. So now I would say if it's deeper motivation, it probably won't, like mothering or something that's really important to you, that you're really passionate about. But if you have an impulse to do something that you know is good for you and you don't act on it, like getting up in the morning to go to the gym, if you wait longer than that 5 seconds, chances are you're going to hit the snooze button and go back to sleep. So she gives this example of like a rocket blasting off and doing a countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. I know for me, I use my black belt. Like I have a mantra that I tell myself, I'm a black belt, I'm a warrior. I might not feel like getting up today, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Because you know, warriors don't always feel like doing the things they do for us, but they do it anyways. So I've adopted that sort of a mindset for myself because it helps me get the things done that I don't wanna do when I don't want to do them. And it's really important. So those are a few things under the psychological bubble. Now let's move to social. I want to move to social. What's your social circle like? Are you hanging out with people who are keeping you out late at night, drinking, smoking pot, binge watching, whatever TV shows so that you're staying up till midnight or 1 o'clock, whatever it is? People who are not, or they're convincing you to eat bad because they don't want to change. Whatever it is, the people you hang out with matter. Your social circle matters. All the studies now show that your longevity, your health, your weight, they're all connected to the people you hang out with. They're determined by your social group. So I'm not saying that you have to ditch everyone if the people in your life aren't healthy, but I'm saying spend less time with the people who aren't healthy and find a group of people who are healthy. So whether it's a small group at church, or it's some people from the gym, or work, you find a group at work that wants to go exercise instead of going out drinking. It's really important that you change your social circle because this is going to take you down. It'll take you down because we are social beings. We are social beings. We want to connect with people. If you don't have a healthy group that you are actively seeking to connect with, you're going to automatically, you might tell yourself, well, I'm not going to hang out with my friends because they're keeping me out late, but you will. You'll connect with them because you don't want to be lonely. And then you will adopt their bad habits. So make sure you develop a friend group with healthy habits. The spiritual circle. So this is the last circle on, that we're looking at, those 4 wheels on your car. I think of passion under this. Now, for a lot of us, spiritual is connected to God. It's connected to something much bigger than ourselves, and that's a good thing. Because when something is bigger than you, right, it's more important than your place on this planet, you're more likely to see it as very important enough to motivate you to do something. But I'm also going to put passion under there. I realize not everyone shares the same religious views. So let's just talk about passion. What is your purpose for being on the planet? Why is the planet a better place because you breathe? What are you passionate about? If your job is not connected to something you're passionate about, you might not be doing the best job at work, right? If you are not passionate about being healthy and you haven't found a reason to be passionate about being healthy, that could be part of why you're not doing it. You've got to figure out what your passion is. Why must you do this thing? What is your essence? Turn your pain into purpose. Connect it so that you now have something bigger than yourself to strive for. And then I think one of the biggest things is being congruent with all of these. Your biology, your psychology, your social circle, and your spiritual circle. If they're not congruent, if you're doing all the things right, but you're hanging out with people who are not congruent to what you're trying to accomplish, if you are doing everything else right, but you don't really have a purpose bigger than yourself for being on the planet, and you don't really think the planet is a better place because you breathe, do you see the problem there? Or if your biology and your psychology are out of place, if your head and your heart are out of place, I know my husband hates when people say heart because he thinks all the decisions are made in your head, but you know what I'm saying. When your thoughts and your feelings, let me put it that way, when your thoughts and your feelings are not connected, you're incongruent, and that's going to cause problems for you in your decision making. When they're congruent, you end up in that, have you ever heard the term flow state? That's why it's so important to get those in alignment. We talk extensively about this in the Brain Warriors Way. It's what the Brain Warriors Way was all about. These 4 circles. How do we treat people at Amen Clinics? How do we get people? What would we give you to do? It's these 4 circles. And then we give you a whole bunch of visualization techniques, motivation, things like that. A couple of questions that people ask me. How do you motivate yourself to get work done after trying many things and failing over and over again? I would go back to what I just said. Is it a lack of knowledge? Is it because you don't really know? Do you need better resources? Or are you not passionate about your job? Or is there something biologically going on with you, right? So passion is a huge thing. If everything else is right, your biology is right, then maybe you're in the wrong job, all right? And that's a hard thing to change for a lot of people at a certain age. But you know what? It's better sometimes, or find something else to dump your passion into. If you have to go to work and collect that paycheck, at least find something to be passionate about that gets you motivated and stimulated. Why do we willfully and consciously engage in self-destructive habits while ignoring our better judgment? Most people, again, focus on the psychology here, but they don't, or the social aspect of this, they don't necessarily focus on the biology. Did you have a head injury? Is your dopamine low? Do you have ADD? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with you. If you're hanging out with the wrong people, that could be part of it. And certainly the spiritual circle, if you are spiritually bankrupt, that could be one reason that the self-destructive habits, in the moment, you're not able to resist that impulse. You don't have something big enough for you to say, then what? If I do this, then what? So that is one of the things that I would encourage you to look at. I have more, but I also have someone that I have an appointment. So I'm going to come back and finish this in another live chat because this is getting long. And I hope this was helpful. And I'm going to come back and talk about the 10 most motivating words, things you can do with the least amount of effort, and how to become a morning person. Stay tuned.